Hello, radio fans, and welcome to yet another edition of Radio Shots, the very best in radio, in one nice package. Now, I love food metaphors, so we are like the turducken of radio. You know what turducken is, Mark?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
It's a chicken inside a duck, inside a turkey.
Exactly.
It's a gluttonous a holiday feast.
Have you had one?
I've never had one.
No, neither have I. It sounds scary, actually.
It does sound a little scary.
It's a little too much fat, maybe, for me. So
right. It might be a little too much fat, but this is a fat-free episode of Radio Shots. I'm your host, Michael Robertson, along with Mark Wooten, like always.
Yep, here I am.
And we have got a fantastic show. Like always, we've gone to dar.fm, where you can record radio shows from all over the United States and Canada and Europe, and condensed and captured the very best of radio, and that's what we're going to share with you in the next half hour. We'll always, like always, have our shot of the week and our pot shot, which you won't want to miss. But let's dive in. We're actually coming up close to Christmas, and so let's start off with some Christmas mayhem from the Dean Blundell Show.
Hey, Guadalupe Valdez and an unnamed accomplice have been charged with stealing neighbors' Christmas lights and putting them in their own home and on their own home 4 houses away.
Oh, nobody would notice, eh?
Yeah. Not gonna notice? Hey, let's just take the lights. They included a Mickey Mouse on a horse, some hugging penguins, Snoopy on the doghouse, and other ornaments that were put in Guadalupe's yard. She stole them from some lady named Alma. As it turns out, she had surveillance cameras mounted on the front of the house, because this is the third year in a row Guadalupe has been stealing her crap.
Very protective of that tree this year.
She's been charged with grand theft because the contents, the Christmas decorations, were a grand total of $5,000.
Whoa, that's stupid in itself.
Yeah, I know. I was going to say.
Those hugging penguins, they ain't cheap.
Christmas mayhem from the Canadian Dean Blundell Show.
That's a very funny show.
It is. But stealing and then putting it on your house, outside, 4 houses down.
Gee, who's going to notice?
You know what stunned me on that clip was the third year in a row it's happened.
Yeah.
The third year. So it must be a Christmas tradition at their house. Like, hey, kids, it's time to decorate our house. Go down the street and steal all their lights.
It's the gift that keeps on giving, I guess.
Another family tradition, but this one's over thanks to the hidden camera. All right, next up, we're going to jump to Florida and listen to a bus driver breaking kids' hearts.
A Connecticut school bus driver will be on Santa's naughty list this year, at least according to one father. The driver of his third-grade daughter's school bus decided it was appropriate to tell her what she believed about Santa Claus.
What?
Yup. The bus driver in Connecticut told this third-grade kid
watch it.
What she believed about Santa. And the kid was freaking out. Of course, the driver also said that Jesus may not have been born on Christmas Day.
You're one of those,
Parents.
The 14-year-olds kind of know about. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. Well, for her not only to talk about Santa, but to talk about Jesus, this dad went crazy. And he says,
just drive the damn bus, will you?
Right. Well, I don't know why she, now the driver says, oh, well, the kid maybe misinterpreted.
The freedom of speech and
she misinterpreted the conversation.
Just drive the damn bus and mind your own damn business.
Oh, boy.
So, hearts broken. There's no Santa. And JC was not born on Christmas. Actually, Mark, did you know this? Historically, the historians have looked at this, tried to predict it. And what I read was that they're predicting he was actually born in July.
I've heard spring somewhere, too.
Spring?
Yeah. I don't think you can quite pin it down exactly.
You can't pin it down.
No.
So you got 1 divided by 365
one of them's right. One of them's right, yeah.
That it was born on Christmas Day. When you start messing with people's religion, they get crazy. And I am fascinated by the Tim Tebow story.
Oh, yeah, that's a great one. It's a word now, Tebowing,
Tebowing.
Yeah.
That's right.
So it means to bow down and pray when everything else is going on around you.
he is creating such an uproar in the sports world that people are losing their mind and doing wacky things. And we've got Mark and Brian telling us about what some crazy Tebow fan is up to.
Well, fans do crazy things. They paint their faces. They wear the
I love it.
jerseys. Well, this one went maybe just a little too far.
Too far.
A Broncos fan not only got a Tim Tebow tattoo on his thigh, but he had Tebow inked as a half-man, half-horse centaur. Next to the words, Tebow time.
I love it.
It is unknown if the guy is seriously so excited about the athletic prowess of Tim Tebow or he just lost a bet. Oh, come on.
I love it.
A centaur, half man, half horse. Tebow time.
Well, Tim Tebow, love him or hate him for his overt displays of religion, his PDR, public displays of religion.
Yes.
The guy wins football games.
He's the phenomenon right now. Yeah.
He's won, 7 of 8?
Yeah. 7 in a row that he's, yeah.
And what's fascinating is what happened after he beat the Bears, what they had to say. And to chronicle that, we're going to jump to the Jim Rome show.
But I do want to talk about the Bears and the fact that the Bears did not really show him any respect after he did them. Well, they did them, but he did them. Brian Urlacher said after the game, quote, "He's a good running back, man." Asked about Tebow, Urlacher said, "He's a good running back, man." Now, I've got to say, that's a bad take, man. Running backs do not go 15 for 20 in the fourth quarter after doing nothing the entire game. They were bent. They were bent because they lost a game they'd already won. They were bent because they were embarrassed. So there was no tip of the hat there. If you were looking for it, you weren't getting it.
So I was driving in a car and flipping around the radio, and I heard this game. It was in the fourth quarter. The Bears were up 10-0 in the fourth quarter
with 2 minutes to go.
With it was like 2:45 to go.
Yeah,
when I actually stumbled onto it, I turned it off. I thought, oh, this game is over. Let me go to something else. They end up winning the game 13-10.
That's crazy. Yeah, I heard some of that too. Yeah.
It's remarkable. Tebow is one remarkable guy, and he not only has prowess on the football field, but to get people's blood boiling like he does, that's a whole different talent.
Oh, yeah.
I find it fascinating.
We're going to be talking about him the rest of the year, I'm sure.
Right. We'll see how far Denver goes in the playoffs. You're listening to Radio Shots. You can always find us at radioshots.com. And if you've got clips that you think should be on the show, that deserve airing as some of the best radio, drop me email, michael@radioshots.com, and we'll take a listen. And if it meets our high-quality threshold, we'll broadcast them.
Yep.
Next up, we're going to shift gears to the crazy story. Crazy, sad.
Twisted.
Twisted is a perfect word of Sandusky, which is the Penn State coach who is now being accused of being, a very bad guy. But let's take a listen from John and Ken out of Los Angeles, answering the question, how could his wife not know?
One story, the Newsweek Daily Beast, headlined, "How could Dottie Sandusky have not known?" And how could this be? And they talk about, the writer talked to a half a dozen women over the past week whose husbands had been caught pedophiling. Question is, how on earth could they not have known? Does it take a certain kind of woman to live this lie? Now, it's not an absolute one-size-fits-all model, but there are common characteristics.
I imagine the data can be scarce because...
Oh, it is scarce. Low self-esteem tops the list, though, of these women. And, that makes sense because when you look at Dottie, she's never had a good-looking day in her life.
She could have been pretty 30 years ago. No.
And what happens is when you don't get many suitors. Many are also religious, like Dottie, submissive, because they're just happy to have a guy, shy, and emotionally unstable. How about that? And one more thing. Newsweek interviewed a half a dozen women, and every single one of them described one thing that they had in common. They were married to a guy who was sexually hesitant.
They use the word hesitant.
Hesitant. In other words,
They were not aggressive.
They're not interested in sleeping with their wives. Never really were. And they may have never had sex. I mean, they never even conceived their own child.
I have to admit, pedophiling was not a verb I had heard before.
No, I don't want to hear it, but it sort of says it. Yeah.
I think society has already condemned Mr. Sandusky, and rightfully so. And now they have moved on to his wife and asking the very disturbing question, how could she not have known? Wow. Well, speaking of sexually hesitant, our next clip comes from Fitz in the Morning on 100.7, The Wolf out of Seattle, talking about a different type of sexual hesitancy.
Out of the world of Dutch escorts. Yep, parental guidance on this one.
Okay. Mommies and daddies, pay attention.
Yeah, you might want to turn this one down for a second. Out of the world of Dutch escorts, now that's what you call a Geek Squad. A Dutch escort agency is now offering what they call the Geek Package. And when they say they are sending in a Geek Squad, they aren't talking about, well, taking care of your network, if you know what I'm saying. This service, which is owned by Zoe Villa, was started, according to her, because they were getting lots and lots of calls from the virgins in the IT sector. She says the computer boys are sweet, oftentimes very attractive, but afraid of seeking loving contact with others. So she gives them the special treatment. She programs their highly intelligent minds for love by teaching them what a woman wants. She does this by, well, giving the Geek Squad session, which is treatment that will last 3 hours minimum.
Wow.
Zoe says she teaches the geeks how to romance and take care of a woman's needs by taking a bath with them and doing the geek massage and explore mission.
Take it easy.
That's it. That's bad as I'm going. She says they may come to her as a super geek, but when they leave, they are a super freak.
So there's Fitz in the Morning talking about virgins from the IT sector.
Yeah.
Which I don't know if you know this. That's the name of my new band. No, and
I love it.
It really does remind me of Big Bang Theory.
Yeah.
Right.
That's a great show.
That is a fantastic show. And 62% of their show is geeks.
Yeah.
And they're lacking of interpersonal relationships with females. And for now, we're going to jump to the Dean Blundell show out of Toronto about a couple that was the opposite of sexually hesitant.
2:30 p.m., a couple was seen by other passengers engaged in intercourse in the train, making no attempts to be discreet. The amorous couple soon prompted a fellow passenger to press the subway's yellow emergency strip, which brought the train to a stop at Spadina Station, 14 minutes for the cops to arrive. Good thing nothing bad was going on. In the meantime, as the trains along the northbound University lines snarled halt, the couple staggered to the platform to continue having sex. Which apparently lasted for many minutes. The final seconds of the romantic entanglement was captured in a cell phone now posted online. The face of the woman is not known, although the man, whose pants around his ankles, appears to be in his 20s. Classy move. He's got his pants down around his knees. Her pants are right off. One leg.
Wow.
Is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, I was watching. I was more focused on his asting, to be honest, than noticing where his...
How was he doing? Was he moving? Was he moving pretty
fairly slow? No, he's doing like drunk person sex.
So
yeah.
That's our Canadian brethren, our radio brethren north of the border.
Yeah.
Relaying what crazy people will do on a subway. Wow.
Yeah. Speechless. Yeah.
Hey, you're listening to Radio Shots, and up ahead is our shot of the week. Now, we listen to hundreds, thousands of shows and hours and minutes, and condense that down to the very best of radio, and that's what you're listening to. And if you're wondering how we do it, how do we get all these clips? Well, we use DAR.FM, a free web service where you can record from any radio show on your dial. And it's an awesome service. You can not only record it, but then you can listen whenever you like. So I listen to radio when I'm driving home, and it's not just the stuff that happens to be on. It's my personal favorites.
Your favorites when you want them.
And so DAR.FM is where you can go, and if you hear a show that we're talking about that you like, go ahead and give it a recording. Up next is Another TSA story. Now, these guys, they just can't get out of the way. It's just a disaster. Let's take a listen about our fine airport security forces at work.
TSA officials also apparently have they're such bright lights, these people, have such a high regard for the nefarious planning skills of 8-month-old babies, so much so that they subjected one to a full-body pat-down and a scan. Unbelievable. Here's another one for you. A 95-year-old wheelchair-bound woman with late-stage cancer was given a full pat-down before boarding a flight from Florida to Michigan. Officers were not satisfied, however, until they had forced her to remove her adult diaper. Said TSA, we have reviewed the circumstances involving this screening and determined that our officers acted professionally, according to proper procedure, and did not require this passenger to remove an adult diaper. That was the official report.
There's conspiratorial Jeff Rentz on the Rentz Radio Show telling us about the craziness which is the TSA, adding his little twist to it.
Oh, you
removing the diaper.
You like how he sort of hesitates when he says officer.
Right, and authorities say.
Yeah. Yeah.
With the giant doubt in his mind, which is why people listen to the Jeff Rentz radio show. Next up, I'm a cyclist, crashed a bike mighty few times, but never quite like this. We're going to listen to Fitz in the Morning tell us about one young gentleman who's lucky to be alive.
Out of Wisconsin, he was headed for trouble. Ryan Lipscomb was attending school in Madison, Wisconsin, and while on his daily bike ride, he had a major wipeout. Ryan was speeding down a hill, getting ready to go through an intersection when a trucker decided to turn right in front of him. At that point, Ryan's cheetah-like reflexes allowed him to slam on his brakes, but he was thrown through the air and underneath the truck. Within seconds, Ryan felt something terrifying indeed. It was a truck rolling over his head. His head, which, thank God, was covered by a helmet, and a very strong one at that. After the truck went thump-thump, Brian got off his rump and stood up. The bad news was Brian's bike and helmet were crushed. The great news was Brian was fine. He says he had a headache for a couple of days, too, but is now looking for a new bike and definitely a new helmet.
So kids, keep wearing those helmets.
Wow.
Now, Mark, in the news, I know you've heard about this Occupy that's talked about the 99%, the 1%. And,
yeah.
And, pointing the fingers at the 1% and how unfair it is. And one thing that struck me is they've never talked about the very serious problem, and maybe even more serious, economic disparity that comes with pets.
Oh, yeah.
And to hear more about that, we're going to listen to the Elvis Duran Morning Show on Q94 out of Richmond, Virginia.
Hey, did you hear about this cat in Italy that inherited $15 million?
What? Yes, that cat is awfully good looking today. All the other cats in the neighborhood are like, what's up?
And it made me do some investigating about pets around the world that have inherited major fortunes. The top four, Trouble, the Maltese Terrier.
Oh, that was that one, that Helmsley woman, right?
Leona Helmsley, here in New York. She gave her cat $9 million. Number 3 on the list is Tomasino, that cat that won $15 million I was just talking about. This chimp named Kalu got $60 million in Australia. And the number 1 richest pet in the world, Gunter, a German Shepherd, inherited $140 million.
Wow.
Can you imagine leaving your money to your pet?
Do they know what to do with that money?
No.
They have handlers, you know.
Yeah, the handlers have fun with the money, right?
Goodness. Yeah.
I don't like cats, but I think I'd take one of these in for that kind of money.
You would do a cat, wouldn't you?
Yeah.
That's the ultimate disrespect, because I think a couple of these people had grandchildren, nieces, nephews, and they're leaving $40 million to the dog, you get nothing.
I'll tell you right now, in this day and age, family members are a pain in the ass, and your pets truly love you, and it's all unconditional. I can see why I would leave money to a kitty cat or a puppy.
Yeah, your cat and dog are not going to fight over the money. Your family members, they're going to fight.
You know what your cat will do after you give your cat like $140 million? She's going to lift her leg up in the air and lick her ass. That's how she'll celebrate.
So there you go. The huge economic disparity between pets.
My pets are much poorer than that, yes.
Yes, I know, and I think most people's are, and it's a travesty. But I'll ask you a little question. Do you know why dogs have no money?
No.
Because they have no pockets. They see it all the time, but they cannot pick it up.
Oh, dear.
Okay, I have to admit, I stole that from Jerry Seinfeld. But that's why dogs have no money, have no pockets. But those dogs do. For those of you who do not like your in-laws, we're going to listen to what one man did from the TNA morning show out of Myrtle Beach, South Carolina, because apparently he didn't like his mother-in-law.
So anyway, this guy wanted to get out of work so bad he wanted some time off. He actually faked his mother's death. He actually wrote an obituary for her.
Yeah.
Submitted it to the local paper.
Oh, my God.
The Jefferson Democrat. And then he used the clipping from the paper to prove he was eligible for paid bereavement leave.
Oh, my God.
But the problem was with this intricate plan is his mother was still alive, and Scott hadn't told any of his family what he was planning.
Yeah.
So they were confused and slightly angry. His family members marched off to the Jefferson Democrat office trying to get the obituary corrected because all of her friends thought she was dead. And finally, his mom herself showed up at the newspaper office to prove she was alive and well.
Oh, my God.
So this guy got in so much trouble. He was fired when the story came out, and then he got arrested, and police charged him with disorderly conduct for faking an obituary.
Come on.
So there you go. That's citizen journalism, hard at work, right?
Oh,
everyone,
dear. Yeah.
everyone is a journalist.
Yep.
A lot of people on the internet believe that, think that.
Yep.
And here's one reporting prematurely his own mother's death.
Oops.
Yeah, that's going to be an awkward holiday get-together next time.
I think so, yeah. Once he gets out of jail, huh?
Right. Hey, you're listening to Radio Shots, and each week we chronicle the very best in radio, culminating with the pot shot of the week. Now, the pot shot, let me describe what this is. This is the craziest radio where we're guessing one of the participants clearly is inebriated or under some influence. And this week, we've got a clip from the Phil Hendrie Show, one of my personal favorites.
Great show. Great show.
And let me tell you what Phil does, because he's a comedic genius. He actually creates phony guests. He pretends like he's interviewing someone, but it's actually himself playing a character. And in this clip, you're going to hear him playing Jeff Dowder, who happens to be a young pothead, and he's talking about how he's trying to help the environment. So we're going to listen to Phil Hendrie.
I work at a wastewater treatment plant.
Yeah?
And this guy's completely whack. If somebody shows up at our plant with a bag full of duty, we don't want to deal with him. But bottom line is our finished product is as clean as swimming pool water.
I've heard that. So you're recycling that human waste. No, but Matt, my name's Jeff Dowder. If a guy shows up with a bag of the dew,
we don't want to deal with it. It comes in through the plant, through the wastewater system, the sewer system. We don't want some nutball showing up with a bag full of crap to saying, hey, I got a bag full of crap. What do you think we do with it? It goes through our whole process, goes through our filters, and it goes through our chlorine contact chambers, and then it gets stored and is land applied for irrigation.
Yeah, but Matt, all I'm saying is that's a dude, he just is trying to help out the environment. If I show up with a bag of number 2, can't you process it right there for me?
Yeah, what do you want us to do? Put a little beeper on it so you can see it going through? Our process takes 28 days. Are you going to sit there for 28 days and watch it?
Well, no, but you could call me when it was done.
Okay, how am I going to tell you that your kernel of corn is now done? How am I going to do that? How would that be done?
Oh, that is great. Classic Phil Hendrie. I don't know if you know this, Mark, but of course you can record Phil Hendrie on DAR.FM, and he's the third most popular show.
Yeah,
right up there
great.
with all the big names, Rush Limbaugh and Glenn Beck and NPR, Fresh Air. He's right there, and so few people have heard of him, and that's a mistake because they're missing out on a real talent.
That's very funny.
And now it's time for the culmination of our Radio Shot show with our Shot of the Week. And this week it comes from the Tom Joyner Morning Show. And Michelle Obama recently got together a world-breaking record number of people to do jumping jacks. And here's Tom Joyner and his crazy crew talking about what it sounded like when she went home.
That's what the first lady
people
did.
To get together. Yeah, she gathered around 300,000
Doing jumping
participants
jacks.
doing jumping jacks.
Wow.
We're trying to get world peace, and so when he comes home at night, he's got here. You want to hear about the jumping jack record? Yeah, I love it. You don't never want to hear about my accomplishments. When I try to do things, you don't want to hear about. Go ahead, tell me about the jumping jack record. Well, the old record was. Okay, hold on. Rush is on the phone. I'll be right back to you, baby. Rush is on the phone. Hold that story.
Russia doesn't even call.
Let me do the story, Sybil. Let me do the story, okay? See, every time I get ready to talk about the jumping jack story, there you go again.
Can we
World
keep
peace.
going? Can we
There you
keep
go.
going, Skip?
There
Because
you
he's
go.
having a flashback to his house,
Education.
not the White
And
House.
I do one little jumping jack thing. You don't want to hear about it. Okay. Mama, you want to hear about jumping jack? Yeah, come back in. Tell me again. Yeah.
Hey, Miss First Lady, let me let you know the previous record of jumping jack participants was 20,000.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you, Skip,
20,000.
for that.
So there's Michelle Obama shattering the jumping jack record with 300,000 participants. And I think we've shattered another best of radio shots here. We're here every week bringing you the best of radio. And I want to thank you for tuning in. And I hope you'll tune in next week for Radio Shots. Until then, thanks for listening.